Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about something very special. And that's the biggest mistakes schools take. More specifically, the biggest mistake many teachers do. And the way the content is presented, the way what we study is presented. And as a kid, I of course can say how it was, how it is, of course. It did not change. And I think it will stay this for a while because people think this is the only way it works. And that way is the content way. They just give you the stuff you need to learn. Here's mathematics, here's Portuguese, in my case of course, or in their case English or any other language really. Uh, here is geographics, here is history. So, they just give you the stuff. But you don't know why. Like, the only thing we, at least here, get in Brazil, it's that it would pass in a big test. It's not like a school test, but it is also motivation. It is the NA, which is a pretty big test. I think it happens every year or 4 years. I don't remember. Where if you get a high enough score, you can enter in the universities. But that's all it. To pass the NA. I mean, all of those years, just to just not pass really, just to get a chance to pass in the NA. All of years, just to pass one study, to go to one thing, like it's all to pass exam, and when you pass the exam, you will have to study more. And actually you need to study what you were wanting to. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, I would rather get the basic knowledge you need. More than basic. I like to study, so I would say more than basic, but at least the basic. And then I start to study for what I really want to do. Like if I want to be an engineer, or if I want to be a artificial intelligence programmer, I want to study this as early as possible. And telling me I need to wait until 18, 19 to study what I like. Because that's many mentalities. And what many kids do, because it's incentivized to do almost. With tons of homework, with tons of things to do, just to pass the nanny or in the test. Really. It doesn't make sense. And that's why many kids are trying to study more. But why many kids don't study outside of school? It's not just because school work is harsh and you don't have time to, but it's because they think studying is boring. Because the only time they study is in schools. And again, the only incentive to study is that because you will be punished for it. There's two main ways to study and to persevere to something. Is that you have a big goal you want to achieve, so you're gonna start to not figuratively running towards the goal. And there's the fear one, where something is running behind you and you need to run forward, so I won't get punished. Schools are just the last one. You don't have any goal to achieve, just have something. If you don't achieve, it is going to be bad. Both of them are not good. The goal one, it's great because if you have, I would say it can be great, but can also fail in most people because you can run towards goal, but if you don't have any consequence, just stop and lay down, then you need to have a lot of willpower. And many people don't have a lot of willpower. Many people just have a normal amount of will, of course. And so they probably going to delay this further and further and further until the fear comes. And when the fear comes, and when you have to do, and when you just do something with the fear, you will be running. You of course will, but you run the minimum amount. So if I have something for normal school, I would just do the bare minimum to pass because I don't care. So the least effort I put into this, the more time I have to do other things I like. And that's a lot of kids' mentality. It's just quickly do the homework and just go back to playing their games or go back doing whatever kids do. I think playing games, talking to friends, that's what most kids do. I think. Almost sure actually from my experience and from seeing everyone, that's how many kids do. Or today is more playing because quarantine and stuff. But they don't have a goal to achieve, and when they do, it's and most kids actually, most kids that have high grades, they follow the same thing. They have very strict parents, like the joke of the Asian parents, like, oh, you got you got you're just good at A, or in the case we use numeric systems. I think US used to, like, oh, you got 9 out of 10 questions right. Well, you do very bad. You are worthless. This type of joke, uh, which sometimes is not a joke. Sometimes parents are that harsh with kids, but that doesn't get the goal. They don't have a goal. They have the fear, a bigger fear, and sometimes they have to go to get their parents proud. That can be a goal, but that's a weak goal because if something happens and you don't have such strong connection with your parents, which usually those type of parents are kind of abusive parents, usually of course, but not all of course. I would say maybe not even usually. I'm theorizing here, but I would say a good chunk of them are. Um, but it's a weak goal because if you want to do, you won't never do something to yourself. You just do something for someone else, and that's a bad way to live. You're almost a slave in this situation. I get a bit off topic, but the biggest point is that kids are not interesting because they don't have why to be interesting for. They are not really. They don't have why to care for studying. They just have the bare. They just want to do the bare minimum because they have a fear that they will, you know, they have the fear of being repeated. There's the fear running behind them, so they need to run, but they will run the slowest they can. And another types of studies, like the most recent I always did this, but now I'm in the school that implements this. It's the PBL, is project based learning. It can also be problem based learning, but it's also project based learning, where you have a project to achieve, and now the year you go towards the project. But in the first months, I would say first maybe 3 months, it depends really, you will get all the kids to think about a project, think about what they want to do in that project, what they can contribute to the team, and they will do it. The school says that many schools say, oh, kids are not going physically, so they won't have teamwork. There is no teamwork in school. I mean, rarely there is do a group project there, but that's the exception, not norm. The norm, you do alone. You study alone. You in your line, you go quietly, don't talk to anyone. That's not training the social skills. The social skills you will be learning is not from school. It's because there are people in school. If the schools for reason shut down and you never had friends, first you won't get friends because there's a lot of reason you might not get friends, but schools don't really incentivize socializing. This needs to be a part of your part. You need to actually want to socialize or have a reason to socialize. Um, in schools that use this least uh, there's few, but the few schools that use PBL, there is a need to, because everything you're going to do around the year is with a project, it's with a team, and you need to learn about the team. You need to learn about the persons, the strengths and weaknesses, especially if you're trying to be the leader of the group, or at least you have to have the social skills enough to you know, to say what you're doing, to say how you can help the team, so they don't think you're worthless. And if they think you're worthless, they won't do and they won't get you anything to do, and you won't be part of the team. You won't grow with them, and you will stay behind. You will repeat the year. So that's, I think, why project-based learning is best than the. It's not the it's definitely the best. Um, I think I did not make get the point right, because there's a lot of things I'm thinking about. But rest assured, if you give a purpose of why you're teaching someone, and it's a purpose they agree on, or they thought about this purpose, then of course they would be interesting. So, for example, if I have a science teacher and he just gives me the, like, with a bad teacher, even good things, if things you like, can become boring. With a good teacher, even things you don't like can become cool. Uh, I would say example. I don't exactly remember uh, bad classes. I mean, I definitely remember classes that gone wrong, but not exactly in the situation of learning, because we almost learn nothing a day. Um, I usually need to catch up when there's a big test. I need to catch up by learning on my own, but it's not memorable. The only days I remember in my public school days is the I remember, I think, the teacher crying. Yeah, that's a stereotype I lived in. I remember when they tried to beat me up. The class in itself. Oh, I remember some good teachers, of course, but they are exception. And the idea is not the good teachers to be exception. The bad teachers should be exception, which is not the case. And so, really, another point I need to add up is that, yeah, if you make something interesting for the kid, if they have a meaning to learning, if they have why they should learn that, and they agree on why they should learn that, and there is a group project, and there is a big thing which everything culminates into doing that, then the kids, they will not just bear it. They're going to go forward. They're going to go forward, and they're going to enjoy every process, and they will learn much more. I am in school which uses the project-based learning. You see what we talk about? I mean, what type of school would you name that we have a big circle of kids and we just talk? We always press this. We got in an argument. It's not a chaotic argument where we scream at each other. No, it was a serious argument where we talk about why the communist work didn't work, why the communists didn't work, how uh, plant modification can help us all, and how sometimes people don't care about their own rules they make, or they just push rules to make the big part of the people, to make the general public happy, even if it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's definitely something uh, cool to say. Like, I want to say there are uh, many examples I could say. Yeah, actually I don't have any example of any argument I got even close to that in my first day of school. And so this is just to show, when kids are interested, they will study more. They will study thankfully that they can study. But if kids are not, if kids just do not have why they should study, then guess what? They won't. They just won't study. So yeah, definitely not a good thing. But hey, um, if you find yourself in a situation where you are in normal the way to learn, and you don't want to have it, because of course you don't, it's boring, um, you can try to use this to the advantage. It's really hard to do, so I failed it actually. but you can try to do it. Of course, if you do succeed, put in the comments down below. You can try to implement everything that is that you learn in a public school in the normal way to learn, the continuous way. You can try to make your own goal for that. So you take the book, and you try to read the last pages so you know exactly what you learn. Or more importantly, just go from quick reading, light reading on the school books, which again is hard. It's big, of course. It's 100, 200 pages each book for 10. Yeah, that's gonna be quite a reading. But if you do this, you can implement and you can make your own agenda of what you're going to implement in a project of your own. And you can study history for that, you can study geographics to that. Of course, it'll be really hard. Some things I would say you won't be able to implement. Like, you can implement history into something, but not exactly history that they are teaching you. For example, I could say the history about the German military, because I study a bit of World War II. But if I'm doing a project, and what I'm going to learn in that year about I don't know, a World War II project, and what I'm learning from geographic and what I'm learning from history is for example Brazil, or even worse, a country that doesn't even participated in the World War II, which is few, but still. Then you may not be able to implement it, but you can implement most, like mathematics, your main language, your second language that I think most schools teach on second language. My public school teach English, but it was so funny. I learned English by myself, because if I were to rely on school English, then oh boy, English would be the least language I wanted to learn, because it was so boring. She wrote down the entire blackboard with words that I knew the meaning, but I needed to copy it anyway in the Portuguese and then translate it into an English, like 2 full pages. And I don't like to write. I like to write on the computer, but yeah, definitely boring. And was, one time a week, if she showed up, which she didn't many of the time. So much of the kids you see that are learning by themselves are not using school as inspiration. They generally don't like school, really. Many kids that are learning by themselves usually don't like school, like negatively, because the schoolwork they got just makes their own study worse. And when you have a problem with learning, you can implement what you want to do in the project. And if this doesn't work, you can at least help someone else or help the group. Of course, you need to do that to be successful in the situation. But I think that's it. I touched on quite a lot, but that's definitely not the end of the discussion. So if you want to place down the things that can be implemented with the PBL, and maybe another type of learning you think also works, feel free to comment down below. And of course, if you like this video, like it and subscribe if you're new. And I think that's it. See the rest of my playlist. I have a ton of videos. Actually, I didn't do the math, but I think I would have almost 70 day videos when this all ends. So there's quite a lot of content you can watch, and of course in different languages. Actually, yeah, in different languages. Well, but I think that's it. Hope you liked it, and see you tomorrow. Bye.